Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I am Jarrett, and I am here with Katreena Tecson. She is with CoCo NFT and is a collector, a builder, a Web3, everything. Thanks for being with me here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So let's start things off. Let's first just get a little bit of understanding of who you are. So tell us, like
Okay.
you work with CoCo NFT. You're big on TikTok and NFTs and all this kind of stuff. Can you kind of like package this up for us in a couple of minutes and give us some understanding here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a girl with intense ADHD who likes to build
Do you
and
actually have
Web3.
ADHD?
I have not been diagnosed, but apparently everyone says that I have it. So that's me in a nutshell. My background is actually in architecture. So I went to school for architecture. I designed high rises and custom homes in the Lower Mainland. But while I was doing that, while I was in school, I was trading crypto. And that once I got into like the actual architecture industry, crypto was just making like double the amount that I
Yeah,
was getting paid. And so that's kind of how I got into Web3 and got
interesting.
into the space. So
But how did you originally get in? Like you were trading in high school, somebody must have told you about Bitcoin or something.
yeah, so I have a friend who's like really deep into the crypto space. So he showed me his Discord and his best friend's Discord. They're anonymous. So you will, I mean, you may know who they are, you may never know who they are, but
Right.
they're like really close friends of mine. And they're like, Kat, like, like, we think you're kind of smart. Like, what do you think of this? And then I just like ended up in this like rabbit hole. Like, I never told anyone because at the time, like in 2016, everyone thought it was like super shady,
Right.
but I was like making money, but not doing anything shady.
Yeah.
And so I just like learned a lot. I got mentored by I think one of the best of the best. Like when I learned how to trade crypto, like they taught me, they put me in the deep end right away.
Yeah.
Like leverage trading, like
Yeah.
leverage shorting as
Yeah.
well too. So like they taught me that that's how I learned. And
Yeah.
so then when people were like asking me about like how to trade and stuff, I was like, oh, you just do this and like you just calculate this and this is my Excel spreadsheet. And they're like, what the heck? We just like buy crypto and then we like buy high and sell low. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't know you could. I was so like stuck in my own little world that I didn't even know you could do that. I was like, oh, what? Like, not everybody is shorting. Like, so that was kind of my experience of it. And then obviously, like, the adrenaline was like really fun. And I'm
Yeah.
like chatting with like random people on the internet. And
Yeah.
like, it was like my secret thing that like nobody in the
Oh,
world
interesting.
knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So then, how did you kind of navigate and meander through that into NFTs?
So basically once like the market kind of like hit, I had another good friend who was like, "Hey Kat, like you should make TikTok videos." And I'm like, "No, like I hate social media." And he was like, "Well, with your like trading knowledge, because when I was trading, I actually learned about all the different blockchains and all the coins that I was trading. So
Yeah.
I wasn't just like, okay, like analyzing charts and doing technical
Hmm.
analysis. Like I was really learning about like what each thing could do.
Yeah.
And so when the market hit, I ended up actually connecting with Reed from CoCo NFT. He's the
Hmm.
CEO. Absolutely amazing. I think we connected on LinkedIn or
Yeah.
Twitter or something. And I was like, I'm on a mission to bring more women into the space. I want to help onboard more people into the space as well too, because of my experience back in the day. It was hard. It was difficult. Like I didn't
Yeah.
have that many friends.
Yeah.
And he was like, great. Like we're on the same sort of mission. And I haven't looked back since.
Awesome.
I was like, you know what? I think we also need someone to do the TikTok because my friend had kind of gotten it in my head. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we got to find someone. And then eventually it was like, who's going to do it? And it was like, okay, well, you might as well do it. So I was like, okay, cool. And then the following grew from like 0 to 40,000. And I made a lot of connections there. We onboarded, with those videos, we onboarded so many people into the space. So
Yeah.
many women came up to me and were like, oh my God, it's so nice to
Yeah.
see just like a friendly, bubbly
Yeah.
face and like feel super safe about it.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
yeah, it's been just like, connected with like OpenSea from there, people from Bitsky, all these really big, amazing companies. And yeah, the opportunities just seem to be kind of endless now.
Right.
Yeah.
That's excellent. So let's it's a really good kind of understanding of where you come from. So can you first maybe explain to us what is an NFT, and let's start from the foundation.
Okay. So an NFT is called a non-fungible token. So basically, I like to describe it as like a digital asset that is written on the blockchain.
Yeah.
So an NFT is not art, it's not a thing, it's a technology that provides proof of ownership and authenticity.
Right.
That's how I kind of like to explain
Yeah.
it.
Okay, that's
So,
good. So I think when we think of NFTs, generally we think of art, we think of
mhm,
JPEGs. But NFTs clearly are bigger than that.
mhm.
And I guess are you seeing other stuff come into the marketplace that's beyond art in NFTs right now?
Yeah, I mean, there's like music NFTs. I think they haven't really like taken off yet,
Mm-hmm.
but like I'm really excited to see that and just how it like will disrupt the whole like music
Mm-hmm.
industry. And I know it slowly has
Mm-hmm.
already, but I think like the technology is a little bit complicated and people are like trying to find the proper way to do
Yeah.
it, right? Like it has been done, but I don't think no one's done it yet in a way that's like very innovative
Yeah.
yet that
Yeah.
I've seen.
Yeah.
What else is there? Like, I guess like the way like I don't know if you guys know about like the 10K generative NFT projects.
Tell us.
So basically, these are NFT projects, PFP projects like Bored Apes
Wait,
or Doodles.
what's a PFT?
Oh, a
PFP?
PFP. That's a profile picture. So people like your NFT typically, especially like your hold on, what did you say? So NFTs sometimes like or people buy NFTs to represent themselves.
Okay.
And PFPs are the ones that you kind of like use as like your profile picture.
Right.
So that's like one form of NFTs, but there's so many other. But
Yes.
it's a great way because I think like there was a lot of hype around it, and I think that's what's kind of going to help bring the masses
Yeah.
to NFTs. So it's a
Okay.
good start, but I think they're kind of dead. They're a little bit old now.
Yeah.
But it was like a really great place to
Yeah.
kind of like get the masses like more into NFTs.
So if PFPs are dead, then what's next? Or
I
what's
think-
happening now that's hot?
Yeah, I think just like more innovative projects. I think like one of one artists are very valuable and very important. And I think like it was really cool to see like the PFPs, like the 10K generative projects like take off. But I think now especially now that we're in a bear market, we're starting to see like more innovative ways.
Right.
So what are some examples that I've seen? Oh man, like something that's like really innovative that I saw. So there's this guy named like Beats, Beets on Twitter, and he's doing really cool like metaverse experiences, and you purchase like one of his NFTs and then you are taken on this like crazy escape room journey.
Oh, interesting.
So that's kind of like another way that people are using NFTs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the metaverse is basically like an interconnected world. It's kind of like it's people who are into gaming understand the metaverse very well. So
Yeah.
it's like your virtual reality and my virtual reality are coming together and interacting.
Yeah.
So that's kind of really cool.
Do you spend any time in the metaverse?
I've definitely spent quite a bit of time there. I've like played around in Decentraland. I've hung out in Spatial. I think we had a meeting in Spatial that one time. I was like, I'm so tired of these Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
Let's switch it up. Monaverse is also an interesting new metaverse. They're, I think, targeted more towards like builders and creators. So I've had a lot of conversations with them.
Yeah.
But I'm wanting to now kind of like build my own metaverse project. I think I've told you a little bit about that.
Let's hear more about that. When you say you want to build your own metaverse project, I think to the masses that sounds like you want to build a video game that people hang out in. Clarify what that actually looks like.
Yeah, so I actually haven't decided whether or not I'll be designing my own video game or if it's a project that metaverse companies will take.
Yeah.
But basically my whole idea is to build a cemetery/memorial where people can upload their videos, audios, images of their loved ones so that they can live on the blockchain permanently forever. But design this very beautiful experience. So my background's in architecture, and like when I was in architecture, I'd tell people, be like, hey, like these are some cool ways like we can apply Web3, NFTs, blockchain technology to architecture, but like it's such an old industry, like many other industries, very traditional, and like they didn't get it, they didn't understand, but it's kind of cool because now they kind of ask me. It's kind of like switch, which is kind of fun. But it's just my, I guess, like architectural desire to design has kind of like pushed that on me. But then I was like, what can be useful and what can be disrupted? And like land is very expensive, right? And I also think like the experience is really great. But like, for instance, like with COVID, right? Like if someone passes away, your family members in another part of the world wouldn't be able to like visit, right? Whereas like if you have like a metaverse cemetery, you can have anyone in the world visit, right? In addition, you could also make this a really cool database. So perhaps in the future, students could use this cemetery as a database to learn about people in history, learn about famous people, but also learn about like, I don't want to say average people because people are pretty magnificent, but like, and everyone's different. But like, I think that it's very important in Web3. Like it's not, you don't have to be famous, right? Like you bring and you provide a lot of value. So this could just be like, maybe you type something, hey, I want to learn about podcasts. I want to learn about art, or I want to learn about this particular, like a particular design style. And maybe that pulls up all these people that are in the database
Right.
that are dead, and maybe some are alive as well
Right.
too, right? Like there's a lot there's a lot for this project, but I'm really excited. I'm kind of in the design phase right now.
Yes.
But I definitely see it as like a really beautiful database, a memorial type thing. But I also really want it to be experienced like IRL. So
Right.
I don't know if you've ever been to like an
Hold on a
art
sec.
gallery.
What's IRL?
Oh, in real life. Sorry. I'm like living in the virtual world too much. Yeah.
Just like normal life.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking
Like
about.
regular.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry for
real
interrupting.
reality. No worries. But yeah, like I think like or where was I?
I shouldn't have interrupted you.
No, all
so
good.
you want
I
the
need it.
experiences to be beyond the metaverse, but also in real life
In
as
real
well.
life. Yeah. So like
So what does that look like?
So I envision it as like collaborating with like an art gallery, right? Or collaborating. I don't know if you've heard of Super Blue Miami, but
No.
I went last year when I went to Art Basel, and it was like this amazing, immersive, beautiful, intimate experience that I had with myself, like viewing all this like art. And so how I kind of envision my project is, yes, I have like a virtual version of like the cemetery database, ancestry and me type vibes, but then I also can see people going to art galleries and then maybe like, you know, having a phygital, which is like a physical and digital, maybe a card or something, and like tapping that and then being in this immersive experience of like their loved ones. Right. And experiencing that. And I think that would be, I don't know, something really cool.
It's interesting. Like a couple of years ago, I think this kind of viral thing was going around where you could take like a picture of your dead relative and they would like kind of make like their eyes move and like make it kind of like, you remember that?
I remember that. That was so creepy.
And it's creepy, but it's kind of like, well, if you wanted to like interact with your like, you know, your child that died a long time ago or your mom, you could potentially do that in the metaverse with some kind of combination of VR and AR and all this kind of stuff, which would be wild.
It'd be so crazy. And I don't know, like I think like cemeteries, I guess, are kind of forever, but like not really. But like the blockchain is forever.
Well, we don't know that. We know that, and it's immutable, so it's not ever going to change.
Exactly.
I think what's interesting about this idea as well is like cemeteries and kind of like the business around death is interesting. For example, like there are people that like flip cemetery plots as a job or as an investment because the taxation around cemetery plots is different than the taxation around regular property, but you're still owning a piece of property.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of fascinating, and you look into this and you see money laundering happens through cemeteries for this reason. People are flipping cemetery plots for this reason. So there's all kinds of interesting things that happen in this business that people don't think about. And you found like a really interesting angle.
Yeah, it's so funny you say money laundering. Someone is pretty sure has asked me about that. I'm like, oh geez. Like,
well, it's always there, right?
It
doesn't really matter what the business is. Money laundering is happening somewhere,
it's
right?
Totally happening.
Okay, so let me ask you maybe a bit more of a technical question. How does someone actually, let's say I'm an artist and I want to turn my piece of art into an NFT. Can you like quickly like break down a couple of the steps to do that?
For sure. Okay, so I'm going to give two kind of perspectives. So one is the CoCo NFT perspective, and then two is like using a different platform. Yeah. Right. One, I think like first you should kind of like understand like what you're doing when you're turning your art into an NFT, like the minting process, and you know, what's lazy minting, what's regular minting, and like what happens when you put your art there, and like who has the rights to this and all that sort of stuff. But basically the process is you create your art, you can have it as any file type that you want, and then you go to a platform like CoCo NFT, OpenSea, Rarible, or whatnot, and then you just like upload your art piece, give it a description, and then mint it on the blockchain. And
what does the minting mean? What happens when you like mint it? Yeah,
so when you mint, I like to kind of think of it as like officially publishing your piece onto the blockchain. So kind of making it NFT official. Yeah. Right?
Publishing is a good term. I like that actually. Yeah. That's helpful.
So there's minting and there's lazy minting. So what CoCo NFT does, so for those who don't know what CoCo NFT do, they help creators get into the Web3 space with ease with our tools and our services, right? So our first tool is turning Instagram posts into NFTs. So we've made it like very easy and fun for people to like turn things into NFTs. So and we do it in a way that's like risk-free. So like when you are minting something, like it's on the blockchain forever, and you'll have to burn that NFT, which is basically like deleting. Burning is deleting. So to unmint all that, you'd have to burn that NFT.
Right.
But what we do is like we lazy mint. So that basically means that your image is minted, but it's not officially on the blockchain until someone buys it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's
So
great. Okay, so and can you explain the difference between a one of one and a generative project?
okay, yeah. So a one of one is basically like there's only one of this piece. You can have multiple editions if you'd like, but a one of one is rare. It's like maybe you've hand drawn this piece and there's nothing else like it.
Yeah.
Typically, this is for like
Yeah.
artists. Generative projects are basically um, art that is put together via generation, if that makes sense. So if you see those 10K collections, someone is not drawing each NFT or each art NFT. They're not drawing 10,000 pieces. They're basically drawing, the eyes, the face, the
Yeah.
nose, the mouth, the backgrounds, all the different traits. And then they generate and put all these pieces together randomly. And then when you mint, the smart contract just like puts that all together and spits out different assemblies.
So when they create a generative project and they have all of these traits, can they decide that they don't want this color of eyes with these types of glasses, or does the technology decide exactly what the combinations are?
Yeah, so the technology decides the combinations, but like you as the person, let's say creating this like generative project, can go behind the scenes and like have a look and be like, actually, this one's ugly. This is an ugly ass combination. I don't
Yeah.
want that, or I don't
Okay.
want that, or I want 5% to be rare.
Right.
So you play around with the settings, you work with your dev, and then once you're kind of happy, then you can seal the deal and
Right.
then have it ready for launch.
And are there ways to create NFT projects without having to have a developer? Are there technologies that we can engage with now if we're not technical and go about this process without a developer?
There's definitely some no-code tools, although like I mean, right now I do use a developer for most things, but for instance, like there are tools like Manifold, which basically helps you upload your own smart contract that people can use as well too.
Mhm.
I think like if you're all about like decentralization, it's a really great way to use it. Like I haven't launched my own NFT collection yet. I mean, I've played around and I've launched like random things using AI here and there,
Yeah.
but I'm working on my own collection right now. And initially I was like, oh, the easy route would just be to like upload onto OpenSea and mint, pay the little fee and whatnot. But then I think if you really believe in decentralization in its purest form, I think you need to upload your own smart contract
Okay.
and not be reliant on one particular platform.
So let's talk about decentralization and the culture around Web3. So why is that even relevant? Why does that even matter, decentralization? Why should we care about that?
Yeah, I think so. From many different perspectives, I'm gonna first talk about maybe like the creator perspective or like the influencer perspective, right? So let's say like you're an Instagram influencer, and you post all your things on Instagram. Like you don't own that. You're not monetizing off of that. Not that you have to monetize
Yeah.
off of it all the time, but
Yeah.
like it really gives power back to the creator.
Mm-hmm.
So what you create is yours. People know it's yours.
Yeah.
People can't steal it, or there's proof that it's not owned by someone else.
Right.
And I think that's really important, just ownership,
Yeah.
right? And that's kind of what, when you think of NFTs and like the purpose of it and the technology and what it can provide for you, at the end of the day, it's like owning your own shit,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And especially on the internet, like think about it, like, like in real life, in this world, like we own a bunch of things, like this is yours, like I know what's yours, but in the digital world, like there's so much stuff there,
Yeah.
and like you don't know who's who, and
Yeah.
like things get copied and plagiarized all the time, but like in the virtual world, like people also collect things, so I think it's just a great way to just like prove the ownership as
Okay.
well too, and like you're not reliant. So let's say like for instance like Instagram dies, right? And you're a big influencer, let's
Yeah.
say, right? Instagram dies and like your job is gone.
You've
Like
lost your audience.
you've lost your audience. However, like for instance, like with CoCo NFT, like you mint your Instagram post or you mint your entire Instagram feed. That stuff is gonna live on the blockchain forever. They know it's yours, you can see it's yours, and it's still up there,
Yeah.
regardless if Instagram is up or
Yeah,
not.
That's
right?
great. Does CoCo NFT have its own blockchain, or is it using Ethereum or another one?
So we're on the Rarible protocol
Okay.
currently. So right now, like we are on the Ethereum chain, but we've been exploring like
Yeah.
other blockchains as
Yeah.
well too.
Okay. That's good. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. That's great. We'll wrap things up there. I think that's super helpful to understand, your background, which is fascinating. Getting an understanding of what NFTs are and even some kind of a simplified version of how to do this, understanding profile pictures and generative projects and one of ones, all this kind of stuff is great. Thanks so much for being with me, Katrina. This has been super helpful, and I love hearing from you.
Yeah, I hope that was helpful. I'm kind of new to this like podcast thing, so I'm like getting a little nervous, but like that was
No,
really fun.
that was really good. Thanks so much.
Good practice.